means I'm 2 years out of my medical training, and I've got 3 reasons to be nervous today. The first one is, the slides I prepared for tonight have failed. So I'll be working off the cuff, but if I can handle Jeremy Hunt, I definitely think I can handle this. Second, didn't realise how much of a time restriction was on, because obviously the really important event going on later with the bell ringing for the Armistice Day, so I'll try and keep it brief. And third of all, why I'm nervous, because if we don't do something now, we are going to lose our healthcare service, and I'm not losing it to Jeremy Hunt. Okay, so the main reason I'm stood up here is to try and tell everyone what the contract changes are. It's not a very easy thing to talk about, and I'm really gutted the slides didn't work, but it's alright. I'm trying my best to try and walk us all through it. If you're a member of the public and you don't really work in the NHS, it can be really difficult, especially with the media, the wonderful, impartial, neutral media we have out there, to try and figure out what these changes are. Because a lot of the media, they kind of sell the story that we're money grabbers, we want to retire early, we want to get out and play back a round of golf. No. These contract changes are the undoing of the healthcare service. It starts with us and then it happens to every other member of staff in the healthcare service. And the person who will be most hurt, the people who will be most hurt will be the most vulnerable in society. Our children, disabled and mentally unwell, healthcare, elderly, you name it, all of us are going to end up getting affected by it. And it starts here and it starts now with us. So, I'll start from the beginning. Okay. Any questions, shout out. I'm all about the interactive side of things. So, in 2013, junior doctors at the BMA is our union, we decided our contract was a bit out of date. It was last updated in the 1990s, and there was a lot of things we felt could do with updating, mainly things like safeguarding, hours, redefinitions, all that sort of boring stuff. So we went to NHS employers who basically work the department and said, we need to have this contract looked at. And they went, sure, why not? So we sat down for about a year, 2 years, and basically argued because they couldn't really make decisions about what should be discussed to go on that contract, let alone what the contract should finally look like. So eventually they decided, let's take it all to the DDRB. Right. This is where I think a lot of people tend to get confused. The DDRB is the Dentists and Doctors Review Body. They're an independent body who was set up in 1960, and they basically, any healthcare worker who has an issue with their contract, they take it to the DDRB and they have a look at it impartially and make sure that the right and fair thing is done. So that's what happened in early 2015. The BMA and the NHS employees gave all their evidence and gave their side to the argument, so the DDRB went right up to you. So the DDRB sat down for about 6 months and they hashed out a new contract. Now, if you were going to go up to somebody and say, we have the world's finest healthcare service, the 5th biggest employer in the world, we need to redo their contracts, and we need to make sure it's done right, and we need to make sure no one, especially the patients, comes to any harm from these contract decisions. You'd want the finest on that panel, wouldn't you? You want the best because you deserve the best. Your mother in her healthcare deserves the best. Your children's healthcare deserves the best. The nurses and the doctors who are in medical training deserve the best to make sure they have the best training and can work the best hours so that they don't make mistakes. So we got the best. They got a geography teacher, they got a public accountant, they got a private accountant, they got a military weapons historian, and they got a human resources manager from Ford Motor. And they wrote this contract which dictates what healthcare we get until the next review, which is over 10 years away. That's what the government thinks of the NHS. Anyway, sorry, I get excited sometimes. So, the contract came out, and I'm going to try and really briefly talk about why this contract is a mess and why we, the doctors, are so angry about it. The first thing that's really annoying about it is it redefined all our hours that we work. At the moment, right now, a standard day is 7 a.m. till 7 p.m, Monday to Friday. Anything outside of that is considered unsocial hours, and you need more support, you might need more time to rest, you might need a bit more pay depending on the work you're doing and how undesirable it is and so on. They've now changed that from being 7 a.m. till 10 p.m, Monday to Saturday. Show me the MP who does those hours. to show me, but I can't even think what I do in response. So that was the first thing that changed. So that means we'll be working more hours, because that's now considered standard hours, at the same pay. That, over time, equates to a 30% pay cut, and that's what we're saying when we say there's a 30% pay cut. It's because those hours have been redefined. Okay, does that make sense so far? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the second thing, and this is where it really impacts on you guys, not only if we're working more hours, our standard hours, and therefore we get less rest time, we're going to get more tired, make more mistakes, safeguarding rules have changed. At the moment, in the NHS, we do something called hours rota monitoring. This means that every couple of months, a doctor, and it happens with nurses, midwives, everyone, they log all their hours that they've worked in a week, in a log, and it goes to the employers. If they've worked over so many hours per week, let's say for example 100, the employer, the hospital, gets a massive financial fine. That doctor's automatically given rest time to recuperate, and the rota is looked at again and revised to make sure this doesn't happen again. Because tired doctors make mistakes. Tired midwives make mistakes. We don't go through all this training and all this love and compassion to let you down. You deserve the best. And the Tories do not get that. They scrapped those safeguarding rota monitoring exercises, and they gave no replacement. If we now worked 120 hours per week, we have no one to go to. No one's going to stand up for us. Our union can't do anything because our contract doesn't have anything to protect us. We have no protection to protect you. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So, it also changes a lot. It changes so many things. I'm trying to rattle through the bits that I think are most relevant to you guys, but it also changes things. So, for example, you might have seen that this contract attacks maternity rights, carers' rights, rights if you want to take time out to go and do further research, because let's be honest, it's in the NHS that we have found the biggest cures and the biggest moves forward against terrible, horrible conditions like cancer, Alzheimer's, mental health. This came from this country, this city. We should be so proud of that, and this contract absolutely, totally victimises any doctor who wants to contribute to those amazing advances we've made in medicine. Because now, if you want to take any time out to do research and training, if you want to take time out to have children, or God forbid you want to take time out to take care of a loved one who needs you at home, carers leave, your pay is frozen. And when you come back to your job, maybe a year later, 2 years later, no matter how much more highly advanced the level job you're doing, how much more hours you've got up because you've got up in your training, your pay is frozen at when it was when you left. Does that make sense? Because I don't think the media do a good job at explaining that. Does everyone get that? Please put your hand up if you don't get it. Okay. I'll put your hand up, sorry. That's basically the main things from, I think, a public perspective we need to be really annoyed about and trying really hard not to swear because we're in a church. So if I stop suddenly, it's because I know it's coming. Okay, so sorry about that. So those are the main things that we need to be aware of so we can work together. Because let's be honest, the media aren't giving it to you, the Tories certainly aren't going to give it to you. And here's the best bit. Do you all remember last week, on the 4th of November, when this brand new headline came out, 11% pay rise for doctors if they don't strike? Do you remember that? That 11% pay rise is on top of the 30% pay cut. So yeah, I'd like the other 19% back, please, because I've got uni debts to pay, thank you very much. So that's one thing. Here's the other thing, wait for it. The new contract that came out, and here it is on the 4th of November, is 36 pages long. It took me 15 minutes to read. It is so reminiscent to a 15-year-old who thought, oh dear God, I've got coursework in the morning and I need to write something, because that's what the Tories did. Oh dear God, they're going to ballot the strike, we have to do something, so they coupled this awful contract together. And do you know what they did at the very back, 3 pages from the end? If you are a junior doctor who's only 4 years away from being a medical consultant, you are exempt from all contract changes. Divide and conquer is very often the last refuge of desperation. Because you know what's important to remember here? Unity is strength. that came out last week has tried to rip apart junior doctors, and it's failed, because we are all here today. Every speciality, every level of junior doctor, every sort of patient. There are people here who probably haven't to see a doctor in years. We're all here because unity is strength. We get that, they don't, and that's why we're going to win, because we get that if you don't take care of each other, society falls apart. Because in the words of Nye Bevan, the NHS will only last as long as there are people left with the will to fight for it. And by God, we are going to fight for it! That's kind of the end of everything I was going to say. Like I said, I had the slides, but it all fell apart. That was a very off the cuff, literally made it up as I went along. I hope that was okay. If you've got any questions at the end, please do come and find me. We've got a stall right over at the back. There's a lady with red hair waving her arms. Well, all the junior doctors, we're going to be there. We really want to hear what your questions are, what your thoughts are. If you have any worries about strike action that's coming up, how it's going to affect you, how you can support us, even if you think you disagree with us, we are all up for discussion, debate. Come and say hi, and we've got some lovely freebies and car stickers and things as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just want to say, you have no idea how much it really, really, really helps when it's 4 in the morning and you're the only junior doctor who can really do the best job for your patient, and there's not enough staff, and you're so tired. You've no idea how much it means to be here and see people like you who could be doing anything tonight, to see that you're here because you care, so thank you.